Hello and welcome to Woke Watch. And this week, I bring not one, but 3 stories. Our woke and highly delusional friends, they've been putting in the overtime. And all 3 stories are bound together under the idea of gender identity. And if you're unfamiliar with that, well, the idea is you can't pick your sex, but you can pick your gender identity. So, even though I'm clearly male, tomorrow I could wake up and decide that I now identify as a woman. And anyone who doesn't refer to me as a woman, I can then shout at them, wave my arms around and call them a fascist. We begin with a group of American archaeologists who refer to themselves as the Black Trowel Collective. And they are asking, nay demanding, that any human remains which are unearthed, whether that be slowly and steadily or giving it the full Indiana Jones, these human remains should no longer be referred to as male or female, because we don't know the gender identity of the deceased. They may have been cisgendered, transgender or gender fluid, even though these are all very, very modern terms. The worry is it could be offensive to the dead. My counter-argument is if you uncover human remains, if all that's left of someone is a skeleton, they're unlikely to get offended because they're fucking dead. And if you believe death is the end, or even if you believe in an afterlife, I find it hard to imagine that there's an angel sat on a cloud, playing the harp, looking down on earth, thinking, hang on, I think they've just dug up my body. Other angel, come over here, they've dug up my body. And they're saying I was a man. Now technically I was a man, but I identified as a gender non-binary terrapin. Those fuckers have misgendered me. Now personally, I don't believe that misgendering is a thing anyway. I could have all the operations under the sun, but technically I'd still be male. And misgendering definitely doesn't apply to archaeology, because that relies on science, insight, knowledge, and something we used to have called common fucking sense. And what are the implications for the police if we can't gender corpses? Say human remains turn up. It's clear someone was murdered many years ago, because then the police would go back through the files and try and match up who this person could be. But it's going to be hard for them if they've got the body of a woman, but they can't search for women who've gone missing just in case the corpse went by the name Nigel. And the case which the Black Trowel Collective are basing their argument on is there's a Viking era skeleton which has been unearthed with a sword and female style jewellery. Now the sword would suggest that the corpse is male, or the skeleton rather, and the jewellery says female. So they are arguing that this dead person was transgender. However, I would counter that argument by saying the skeleton was found in Finland, which is in Scandinavia, and it's a Viking era skeleton, and we know some Viking women were warriors. So is it more likely that is the body of a Viking woman or an ancient Norse transvestite? And once again, I'm not knocking the trans community per se, but that community does have issues, because just yesterday I read an article about a genuine trans person. They've been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. They've been born into the wrong body. And this person was saying that since it became almost fashionable for anyone with an undiagnosed mental illness or just not happy with themselves to declare that they're trans, in the UK, the waiting time from diagnosis of genuine dysphoria up until surgery is now up to 26 years. Our next story concerns the American dictionary. I think it's called something like the Webster's Dictionary. It's the US equivalent of the Oxford English Dictionary. The difference being that in the Oxford Dictionary, all the words are spelled correctly rather than what passes for English over in the New World. Hello to everyone watching in America. The people who run that dictionary have been coming under increasing pressure from trans rights activists to change the definition of the word female. And now they've fucking done it. So in the past, the definition of female was broadly the half of the species that produces eggs and will either lay those eggs and give birth to live young, so on and so forth, sensible stuff. But now there's been an addition. Female is now defined as a gender identity opposite to male. And this makes no bloody sense. You see, the people in the 1950s dresses with the brightly coloured wigs, Well, whilst they're celebrating by kicking in the door of female bathrooms so they can get their penises out. Earlier on, I said, you can't pick your sex, but you can pick your gender identity. Female is a sex, not an identity. So the definition of a gender identity being opposite to male, being female, it doesn't fucking work. So we know the purpose of a dictionary is you can look up words to read what those words mean. But now, in this American dictionary, there's a definition of female that doesn't fit the word female. What the fuck is going on? And finally, well, you can't talk about gender identity without bringing up J.K. Rowling. You know her. That woman who left an abusive relationship, lived as a single mother, wrote books that brought joy to children all around the world, and in the process made herself a billionaire. Well, of course, a couple of years ago, she made a statement along the lines that women might actually exist. The heartless cow. So Rowling is labelled as a transphobe, although if you actually go back and read what she wrote, she's never made a transphobic statement. But of course the truth doesn't matter because we're dealing with the fucking woke. And she is a successful woman, so of course she has to be thrown under the fucking bus. And now, to distance themselves from this transphobe, people who play Quidditch are changing the sport's name. Yes, there are people who play Quidditch, although it's now called quadball, again to break the link with Harry Potter and the woman who invented the notion of the sport. But let's break this down. These are grown fucking adults who are playing netball whilst running around with a broom between their legs pretending they can fly, and they've got a problem with someone pointing out the reality that men don't have periods. So that's the end of this video. More examples of pure woke lunacy. And to be truly woke, you must see everyone else as an enemy, as being hateful, as being vile, as being violent, provided you never question your own behaviour. As ever, thanks for watching.